This is Chmelauskus, CEO of Camino Corporation. I'm in Peru today at our Costa de Cobre Upper Coast project with the drilling program that commenced last week. And then we're also developing copper mine in Chile with our partners Nittetsu mining, working on a desk facility so that we can get shovels in the ground in the middle of this year, 2026.
Jay, good to see you, and what a dramatic, stunning background. So where are you and why are we outside?
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. So I'm standing in Chala now. Chala is a nice little industrial town along the coast in Arequipa province in Peru. We're about 500 kilometers south of Lima along the coast. And this is our Copper Coast project, Costa de Cobre. What you see in the background there, that mountain range, are actually, those are Camino's claims. We started drilling about a week ago. I was up on the claims yesterday, and you can actually look down and you can see Chala. So this is where we stay in the evening as executives, and we've got a couple of houses here in the town to support the project. But effectively, this is where the mine would be built out of, the town of Chala. Yeah, so it's a beautiful, stunning location, beautiful beach coastline, and you see out here to the right, fishing village, and that's the big blue Pacific Ocean beside us.
Beautiful. Well, look, as stunning as it is, we've got to talk business. So, I mean, last time we spoke, beginning of January, you talked about, acquiring the project, securing finance, and moving into construction. What's changed?
Yeah, so we're moving into construction. I think the last time we spoke, we were talking conceptually about financing the project. Now we're in negotiations and discussions with the Japanese lender. We were just in Japan a month ago, so we are on track to get a facility out of Japan with our partners in Nittetsu mining. And what that would do is finance 70% of the project, maybe more, at Puquios in Chile, which means we could start putting shovels into the ground, as early as July of this year. So we're saying middle of 2026 we start construction in earnest in Chile.
Right, but what kind of critical path elements have been advanced since we spoke?
Yeah, so we've got CEOs and finance group, down in Chile now, people on the ground. We're opening up, we're building office space on site, some early earthworks. We started detailed engineering with Seiko, which is our tier one engineering firm. So we're ready. All permits are in place to start construction. So it just comes down to the last hurdle is the finance. And as I said, we're on track for that to be in place middle of the year.
Time has gone on. And with regards to the kind of CapEx estimate and operating cost structures and the production profile since the DFS work was carried out, will that have changed much?
Yeah, so the last DFS study, so this is a project that's all completed now in terms of the engineering and DFS work. Just the detailed engineering work is the next final stage. We updated a technical study last year, a PFS report that we published last year, and that updated primarily the CapEx, OpEx, and the operating costs. So we're doing another update on that. We don't expect too much capital creep. Well, we'll see when it comes in with the detailed engineering work that we're doing. But over the last 5 years, we've seen some creep. The project moved from about $125 million in 2021 up to $142 million last year. And so we expect some creep on the capital, but we expect to be able to finance it in this market with the debt facility that we have in place and ongoing discussions that we're having.
Okay, and with regards to kind of the due diligence that you will have been carrying out with various either partner engagement or indeed the financiers, has your view of the kind of project risk profile changed any?
No, it's a robust project. We did all of our economics at $4.25 a pound copper. Today's copper price is over $6. So, it's a nice project to be building in this copper market. It's a low risk SXEW project. I mean, these projects are built, these all the time in Chile and Peru, around the world. So this is the most cost effective, least capital intensive way to build a copper mine.
Right. Okay. And can you just remind me, can you kind of break down the oxide versus sulfide proportions, please?
So it's what we're building here. It's entirely a soluble copper profile. So we're mining the super gene enriched zone above a sulfide body. So this first stage of production is entirely soluble copper.
Okay. And so in terms of like, I presume building out an SXEW plant, are you so confident around the kind of recoveries at scale and across the ore body?
Yeah, there's been a series of tests that have been done. Metallurgical tests have been done over time using large scale column tests. The proof is always when you put that material on the pads, and so we've got a recovery estimate of about 78% overall for the project. We think that's a reasonable estimate. We've done better in some projects, and some projects do worse. But we think that's a pretty good estimate. In a $6 copper market, we think that the risk profile is quite low.
Right, and just sticking sort of technically as well, just because it's been a while since we've spoken, in terms of things like strip ratio sensitivities, and indeed in terms of how constrained this is as a heat leach operation, hydrologically or with the water balance. Are you doing much more additional work on that one, or are you pretty much done there?
Yeah, no, so that's complete. The ore body, we're mining the top of a mountain. So the ore body tends to stick out of the ground, which gives us a relatively low strip ratio. So that doesn't change. In terms of our water permits, we've got water rights that would be about 3 times what the mine needs, which will help us, when we go up to scale up the project.
Right. Okay. Well, okay, maybe we don't need to kind of dive into the engineering yet. Just come back to the money side of things. When you say you're looking at solving for that problem, I mean, how far advanced are these conversations? Has it always been with the same solution, or have you got kind of multiple conversations going on? And what's that money or financing stack look like?
Yeah, so last year we had multiple conversations going on to look at the best debt facility that we could put in place for the project, and we narrowed that down to a lender in Japan with a good relationship with Nittetsu, and they have financed the project with Nittetsu, Sulfide, it's a $1 million mine that they financed with over $350 million of debt. Very good rates on that debt, and no hedging requirements. So, this is a project that we thought, a debt facility for this project that we thought was something that you can only get with a Japanese partner. And it is very competitive versus any other packages that we looked at last year.
Right. And so is this contingent on anything like offtake, or is this a pure debt?
Yeah, so we own 50% of the offtake for the project, and so we'll be pledging that offtake through our Japanese partner in order to so there's a benefit to the Japanese economy and
But okay, specifically with Nittetsu, I mean, what exactly are they underwriting?
So they would be guaranteeing as part of the facility 70% of the debt of the total project debt.
Right. Okay. And they're currently fine. They're still happy to come along here. They're not trying to edge you out in any way, Jay.
No, the partner Nittetsu, we've been 50-50 partners in Chile. We're 35% partners. Well, we own 65% of the project behind me at the Copper Coast. Yeah, we've had a very good working relationship with the group. I'll be in Chile next week to advance all these discussions that I'm talking to you about now, and in visiting their Arqueros mine to look at how that's progressing, because we'll be using some of those same contractors and moving them over to Puquios. Puquios is about 50 kilometers. We both work out of La Serena, so Puquios is about 50 kilometers away as a crow flies, from the mine that they're building now. So no, I think there's been ongoing. We've been getting closer with Nittetsu in terms of the projects that we have today, and we have ongoing discussions in terms of how we can benefit both companies in the future, working together.
Okay, so you've kind of rebranded Los Chapitos as Costa del Cobre, I notice. and its position as an IOCG system. I mean, where's that kind of what evidence supports that structural shift?
The name reflects, sort of the coast that we're on here now. Mina, which is 150 kilometers north of us, is one of the world's newest copper mines, built a few years ago. And then south of that, you've got Pampa de Ponga. Jinjiao, which is the owner of that mine, is building with the Peruvian government a major port just on the other side of these mountains you see there, the San Juan Marcona port. And that's basically going to benefit mining companies in the Arequipa area. And our project happens to be right next door to these major projects. And so we're rebranding this as a major mining district, and we've got a project that we've been drilling. As you mentioned, it falls under that IOCG umbrella. And we look at it as a very similar project to Puquios in terms of its soluble copper, the size that we're drilling towards. We're targeting a size similar to Puquios, although there's every opportunity on projects like this, like Nittetsu, to make a major discovery. We've had, some majors, mining companies stake ground next to us. And so that's the target. We continue to drill the project. We've been doing small campaigns, step-out campaigns to extend the mineralization that we drilled previously, and also to step out 1 or 2 kilometers along different copper corridors on this. This is a very large 220 square kilometer land package that you see behind me here. To find new discoveries and really see how big we can make this project.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's sort of you run along the kind of like La Estancia and the Diva faults, if I remember correctly. So in terms of that kind of testing of that very large land package and those structural corridors, how much work and how much data have you got? And what's the plan for the rest of this year?
So we've completed about 28,000 meters of drilling.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of data. We've got our main zone, Adriana, which we're drilling now today, and we're looking at extending that existing zone. And then, as you said, along the Diva structure, it's an 8-kilometer structure. We've been stepping out 2, 3, 5 kilometers along that structure to look for new discoveries. We've been hitting some nice some copper zones, with that step out drilling. And in the next phase, with the remainder of this year, we're working on a permit, which we expect to receive very shortly on the last estancia. That we do some more drilling towards the end of the year along last estancia, and continue along the Diva.
But I think it's the line's getting a bit difficult here, but I want to take advantage of you being on site. I saw one of the holes returns from 84 meters at about just under 1% copper, which is obviously pretty impressive. I mean, how representative was that of the kind of broader system, though?
Yeah, so when we do drill and we do hit, you're correct. We hit, typically, I think in our last drill hole campaign that we released in March. The best holes were, the 80 meters of 0.9% copper or something like that, with zones of over 2% copper. So that's a nice intercept. And now what we're looking for is to extend those intercepts into tonnage. And we think we're about halfway there in terms of tonnage that we have, in terms of developing a mine similar to Puquios. And so every one of these step-out holes that we do, we're looking at basically tonnage. To turn those into.
What you're also saying is you're demonstrating oxide near surface transitioning to sulfides. What does that imply for you ultimately in terms of the scale potential?
Yeah, so we think we'll start the mine as an oxide mine. That's, as I mentioned earlier, that's the most capital intensive way to build a mine, a copper mine. And then ultimately the large discovery would be a sulfide body. And if you look at some of the major discoveries in the IOCG umbrella, projects like Candelaria, that started as 2 small mines, and then ultimately they found the major sulfide ore body at depth. Even on the road down to Lima, there's a project there called Raúl Condestable, and that started as 2 small mines, Raúl and Condestable, and ultimately they connected to a major sulfide system. So we've been drilling and targeting, the oxides at surface, which is why we see our drill holes are relatively shallow. But as we, step into the project here, and with new eyes and new insights from groups like Nittetsu, we are starting to look at how we could indeed intercept large sulfide bodies in this in these drilling campaigns. And every time we put a drill hole in, we're targeting oxides. But ultimately, we're looking at whether those oxides extend into a sulfide body that we could follow up with.
Okay, and like obviously up and down that coastline, lots of examples, private and public, for IFCG projects like this. And you previously said you probably would look to hope to achieve 40 to 50 million tons to drive that kind of critical mass. How do you play it in the market today at $6 copper?
Yeah, so look, we're on two evaluation fronts here. One is we're a new producer, to start a new mine up in Chile. So we're looking at going through a re-rating on that. Once we get a financial package in place, the middle of this year, we think the market will re-rate us. As you know, it takes decades to get a mine to this stage of development, where you're actually going to start construction and get copper out of the ground. And here we are, Camino, we're months away, from achieving a major milestone like that. So that's a major milestone for Camino, but it's also a major milestone for the entire copper industry. We think is a very important point to make here. And then while we're going through that construction period with Puquios in Chile, we continue to drill in Costa de Cobre, what we believe could be our second mine, and continue to drive value on both of those two fronts.
Okay. Okay, but like I say, there's lots of comps people can look at up and down the coastline there. But it's just being rather blunt, Jay, is you're valued like a junior explorer. It seems your 50 million market cap at the moment. What do you need to do, or what do people need to believe about your story to kind of start moving this thing through the phases when it comes to your share price?
Yeah, so we closed the acquisition last year, so it takes time for the market to recognize what a junior company has in their portfolio. We've just started to see us enter a copper market here, where copper, started to see some highs last year, going from $4 to $5. Now we're sort of in the $5 to $6 range. So the world is waking up to the copper market. And now, with a financial package coming into place, and on the other side of that, I think, investors will recognize that we're a new producer. We're a very rare investment. So I think it's good for Camino, it's good for new investors. And there's growth in what we're doing at Puquios in terms of our first phase is in our the supergene enriched zone, but we do plan to expand that project in the future to the sulfides at depth, and then at Los Chapitos we continue to drill. At Costa Cobre we continue to drill. And to create value for shareholders.
Okay, but just what do you think people are valuing today? Is it Puquios, the development play, or are they allocating any value towards the exploration optionality at Costa de Cobre?
Yeah, I think most of the value would be in the development project now. And that's where we see a lot of the immediate upside for investors. And it makes a huge difference to move from that exploration company to a mining company. And there's not many groups and companies that make that transition. So Camino is well positioned for that to happen in a matter of weeks and months.
Okay. Well, Jay, I appreciate you dialing in from site. Like I say, dramatic background, and good to hear things have moved along. And keep in touch with regards to the financing, because that's the thing that's going to get people excited.
I think so. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, Jake. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah.